Experience Impact Wrestling like never before with instant access to all of your favorite episodes of Impact, Explosion, Greatest Matches, Legend, content from promotions around the world, plus live monthly exclusive premium specials and so much more.
This is spectacular! What a match!
The Impact Wrestling app has you covered with Impact Plus, featuring thousands of hours of on-demand action.
This has escalated quickly!
Stream groundbreaking originals.
We are all artists.
Get more exclusive content and experience a new and improved accessibility control and freedom like never before.
This night's just getting started!
Watch free without a subscription and stream Impact Plus anytime on your favorite device. Download the Impact Wrestling app now and experience Impact like never before.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to Wrestling Travels Lockdown Sessions, presented to you each and every week by our good friends at Wrestle Merch Central in London. So please check them out. They got all kinds of wrestling travel gear, everything you need for the UK and London. Today, I'm very honored to welcome from Impact Wrestling, Mr. Petey Williams. Petey, welcome to our show.
Hey, how's she going, eh? That's like my little tagline there. So
I know. Well, I'm a Badger, so that works out for me. I got all kinds. I'm so close to the UP in Michigan that I hear it all the time. I don't even know I'm saying it.
Yeah.
Worked out on the East Coast, and then I said we don't have an accent back home, and then I went home, and my mom told me we're gonna go for the ride in the boat. I'm like,
yeah. I'm kind of losing my accent because I've been stateside for, I don't know, since like 15 years or so. I don't even know. It's been a long time.
Oh, do you get made fun of when you go home?
Yeah. They're like, why are you talking like an American? I'm like, geez. I never fit in anywhere. Even over here, they're like, you have a Canadian accent.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
You're stuck. You know what? Just vacation in the Upper Peninsula of Michigan and northern Wisconsin, and you'll fit in fine with all of us.
Yeah.
So awesome. So I want to be very respectful of your time. I got a few questions I wanted to roll off for you. I read up, and I know you probably answered this a million times, but I always kind of start at the beginning. I know that you're training and everything, but when you were a young Petey Williams, who did you watch on TV? Who first caught your eye? That was the first person you said, hey, I got to check out this pro wrestling and maybe do it.
Oh yeah, it was definitely, I think I fell in the same boat just with my age, my era. I mean, I was a Hulkamaniac, man. I mean, like I was totally bought into that whole, WWE pushing him as the, say your prayers, eat your vitamins, all that kind of stuff. So definitely him. I mean, I look at it now and I'm like, wow, his matches were nothing. Like he took some heat and there was a comeback, a leg drop, and that's it. And he held the belt up. I mean, but still, I mean, it just his persona, his larger than life thing, that's made me like, yeah, I want to be this. I want to be a pro wrestler. I didn't at the time. I'm so young. I didn't know how big I was going to be or anything. Then I started liking guys like, Bret Hart and stuff like that, growing up a little bit more, like respecting more of the actual technical side of wrestling. So that's pretty much how it started for me. And then obviously what drew me in, like even further, was the Attitude Era. I was like, oh wow, like the WCW cruiserweights and stuff. I was like, oh, I can actually do this now. I think I better start training. This is my opportunity.
And a lot of people, I started training in 1997 in Minneapolis, but I always tell, I've talked to so many people on the show that are younger, and their first memories of when I ask that question, it's like, oh, it's the PlayStation 2 game SmackDown that got me into wrestling. And I'm like, that's so odd to me. And now everybody can get on the computer and find a wrestling school right down the road. But for me, it was, and I imagine for you too at that time, it wasn't just something. I mean, I didn't have a cell phone probably till 2005 anyway, but to look things up, It was so difficult to get in back in the day. Same for you. I mean, it wasn't just
absolutely
jumping on the.
There was no, I mean, the internet was still like dial up and all that kind of stuff. There was no I had to watch wrestling, like everything you just said, like PlayStation 2, PlayStation, like it was still like Nintendo 64. Like that's what I was playing my wrestling games on. Like PlayStation 2 was well beyond. I think I was already starting to train as be a wrestler when I was playing PlayStation 2 and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, there was nothing. Like I literally was at like a show watching WrestleMania, and there was a flyer, you know, on the table, and it had like some indie, like what is this independent wrestling, right? Like there's local shows like in my area from Windsor. Wow, this is crazy. So, and then, you know, the guy that was handing them out, I was like, oh, I want to be a pro wrestler. And he was like, call this number, you know, and then the rest was just history. I mean, Demore didn't believe in me. Like I was short and didn't weigh a lot. And he's like, you're never going to be anything. I said, all right, well, I still want to do this. So I proved him wrong. Huh?
Absolutely. That's, and you think about it, back in that day, it was from the 80s, even into that Attitude Era, it was big guys, you know, very, you know, Nitro started bringing in the luchadors, and that's where I first started going, hey, actually, I go back way further because I'm an AWA guy. And I know they were always up, but first time I saw Mondo Guerrero wrestle, and he blew my mind because I thought this guy's going to lose in 10 seconds, and he's flipping around, and I'm like, I was sold. Speaking of, we talked about video games. Well, what's that like playing video games when you're growing up, and now you were a downloadable character or a character in the Impact video game? Pretty cool.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, like I always wanted to be like the couple things I said, you know, I'll make it as if I'm like, you know, first off on the DVD or something like this, you know, like Best of the X Division. And I'm like, oh, if I come my own action figure, or even if I'm like, oh, in a video game, look at it, and this isn't even open yet. Like I've played it before, but I still have like the unopened copy of it, just like sitting right over here. And I remember being at, you know, Midway Studios, and you know, I thought it was really cool. Like the people before the game was actually like finished, they had the beta testers. I don't even know what you call them. They're the ones that look for glitches in the game. And I said, man, you guys have the coolest job in the world. And they're like, no, we don't. Because whenever you play a video game, you're playing the finished product. We're always playing the damaged version, and we never get to, you know, enjoy finishing the game. And I'm like, oh, that makes sense. And so, I mean, it was really cool. Like, I don't even know how to describe it. I was like, oh man, I get to be in a video game. Like this is everything I wanted. Like there's still people that are wrestlers and all that kind of stuff that haven't been in a video game. So I was like, man, I definitely made it. This is awesome.
That's huge. Now, is the Canadian Destroyer in that video game?
Yeah, I guess it was one of the first moves that they motion captured. So I guess at the time, I think Colt Cabana and somebody else don't even work for Impact. They were doing motion capturing for Midway at the time. And then I don't know what happened where they actually used, like, you know, the Sanjays, AJs, Chris Daniels, all those guys that are actually contracted with Impact. Like, oh, we're going to start doing the motion capturing. But I want to say one of the very first moves that they captured was the Canadian Destroyer. So I didn't even have to do that on there. So that's not me doing the Canadian Destroyer.
Yeah. Now, can I ask you, I'm sure you've answered 1,000 questions about the Canadian Destroyer. And because I'm such a great journalist, I'm going to ask you a question you probably answered 1 million times. If you want to pass on it, pass on it. How did that concept, how did that come about?
Yeah,
just magic in the ring, or?
No. We were driving. It was like me, Sabin, Truth Martini, and like Brian Gorey, who's the referee. You know, it's 2003 before I even started with Impact, and we're driving to, you know, we're driving to an IWA Mid-South show to work for Ian Rotten. And we were talking about moves and all that kind of stuff. And then somebody said like a flipping pile driver. And then I was like, what? And again, no YouTube around. We can't just pull out our phones and be like, yeah, check it out. So you're using your imagination of like, yeah. And then I said to Sabin, I said, hey, like I don't even know what a flipping pile driver would look like. Like, how would this? And he's like, should I give it to you? Should you give it to me? Where should we put it in the match? We have no idea what it's going to look like. And we were going to do it, but then we decided not to. And then the next month I just went down, same show. And I wrestled Matt Sydal, and I said, hey, I got this move that I want to try, you know? And he's like, oh, what is it? And I'm like, it's a flipping pile driver. Like, you don't say that in 2003, right? You're like it sounds so unsafe. And Seidel just goes, all right, cool. And I have no idea how to do it. He has no idea how to take it. I said, I'm just going to come up here like this and do this. And it came off so well, like that I was like, okay, well, you know, I'm going to keep doing this, I guess. And then many years later, people are like, oh, you know, that's amazing. Red's move and stuff. Like, and unbeknownst to me, I'm like, oh, okay. And I guess, like, you know, Red has like video of him doing it when he's like 12 years old, along with every other professional wrestling move he invented. And I'm like, okay, well, sure. Like, what am I supposed to do now with it? Now they're telling me, hey, do this move, do this move. And I'm like, okay.
Did Red ever say anything to you?
Red took it. I remember in 2004, I had to give it. I gave it to him on TNA, and I said, "Hey, yeah, I got this move," and I thought I was going to have to explain it like everybody else, because again, there's no like video like, "Hey, watch this," and he said, "Yeah, I know." It's like I've taken that move before. I'm like, oh, you know, from who? And he's talking about it. And he's like, yeah, I came up with that. And I thought he was messing with me at first, but then, you know, there is video of him now online of him doing it like in the freaking, I don't know, in the 90s, like I like legit when he's like 12, like it's probably younger than when he's 12. It's probably like 8 or 9 years old, and like doing every move. He's doing his code red. He's doing the destroyer looks a little bit different. I think he does it running or something like that. Along with every other move that you could possibly think of. So,
yeah, he's amazing. Red. So the name says it.
Yeah.
But I got to tell you, man, Canadian Destroyer, first time I saw it, and it goes for a lot of people, that is one of those moves that's the rewind button. That's the, wait a minute, what did I just see? What did I just see? Devastating finisher. But I hate how sometimes it's, you know, some of those moves that are like, that's a finisher. That's it. And then it becomes this, hey, this is a transitional, this and that move. But I'm telling you right now, till the day I go out, that's a finisher. That's a devastating move. Impact Wrestling has got a ton of stuff going on. Wrestling Travel, we sponsored Bound for Glory in 2019. And that was my first time seeing Impact Wrestling live in Chicago. And you know, and I'd watch it on TV religiously. And then sometimes it was difficult to find. But when I watched it, I was like, man, this is it. This is fantastic. I'm loving everything that they're doing. And since that day, I've kept track of Impact. What does it mean to you now being, I'll call you one of a long reigning veteran of Impact? You know, I know in and out. But now what they are doing, the partnerships, the crossover with some of the other promotions, bringing new talent in and just keeping us entertained this last couple of years. What does it mean like to you to watch it develop and grow?
Yeah, it's something else. I mean, you know, just seeing guys that, like I look at a guy like a Sam Beal or even like, you know, guys like Trey Miguel or something. Like I remember when they first came in and they were just like, you know, losing matches. Like they started as like an enhancement talent. Let's see how they work and stuff. And then, you know, within a short period of time, now they're on our show. Like I see people come and go so much. This Forbidden Door thing has really been a blessing, but Impact or TNA has always done that in the past. Like we have a long list on our, you know, our Impact Plus app. You can go and put like Nakamura's on there, Okada, like all these guys. We already had a working relationship with New Japan among other companies. We just didn't exploit it or actually make a storyline out of it like we are doing today. Like imagine if Kenny Omega came over here to Impact from AEW and we didn't make a big deal about it. We're just like, yeah, he's just here, right? Then nobody else would make a big deal out of it because we're not making a big deal out of it, right? But since, you know, we're telling you, hey, this is a big deal, well, it's a big deal. But we've been doing it for a long time, and just now, you know, Impact and AEW is monetizing it. So I think it's great. A lot of the guys in AEW, I know personally, I've worked with them and stuff, and all we want is multiple places or like, a home pretty much for the wrestlers to work and, to earn a living and just to entertain the fans. That's all we've ever wanted. And just to do this pro wrestling, talk pro wrestling. All of us love pro wrestling.
Right. Speaking of, and I wanted to talk about the Impact Plus app. You can find everything on there. We come out of Manchester United Kingdom wrestling travel. So I know that's a great place for all the fans. If you're having trouble, I know you can find Impact Wrestling a lot of places, but getting it on your device, whatever that may be, Impact Plus, you have access to, I think it's 4,000 hours of programming. You're going to have access to all the pay-per-views, everything that's exclusive on there, all the TNA British boot camps, and you're going to have access coming up to Slammiversary. Slammiversary last year, if you want to get on the internet rumors and try to find out what happened, I thought Impact did a great job of managing my expectations as a fan, going, okay, wait, I think this is going to happen. Oh, wait, no, that didn't happen. Something completely different happened, and I loved it. Now, I don't want to talk about the fact that we haven't been able to have crowds because we're starting to get to the other side, but Impact was the one pay-per-views that I would watch, and I'm like, you know what? I'm not even noticing that there's nobody in the crowd because the action, and this is not me blowing smoke because I'm talking with you. I told everybody that knows. I said, I didn't even, they did such a great job without any fans. Now, July 17th, if you get the Impact Plus app, you're going to have Slammiversary 2021. Now, I don't see any storylines out there yet, but are you able to drop me a hint or why I need to make sure I'm there on July 17th?
Yeah, absolutely. So we did all our filming already up until July 17th. So there's a lot of good storylines. Man, I can't give anything away. Everything's too early. Everything is too early. But if I had to, and there's going to be, I can't say anything, right? It's only like, we still have like almost a full 2 months. We have about 7 weeks left till Slammiversary. So get it now. Enjoy the ride. You can get on Impact Plus. You can watch our weekly show. So you can enjoy it all the way up until Slammiversary. And then also we got the, Against All Odds and stuff. You get that on the Impact Plus app. And, we already know that, Moose and Kenny Omega will be wrestling on that. So I can't say anything, but it's going to be great.
It'll be worth it. And you know what? By getting the Impact Plus app guarantees you that there is no excuse for, hey, I couldn't find, or I'm not sure. If you're in the UK, anywhere, I believe it's anywhere in the world. Correct me if I'm wrong, you'll find out. But get that Impact Plus app. I can't wait to myself get it, catch up, and go back and watch all the great stars. The one thing I try to get, I'm not a good journalist, Petey. People always say, hey, we're doing an interview, and how can you get a good story out of somebody? And I'm going, yeah, you know what? I can't really do that. But do you have a favorite, like a story that's PG or something that you could let us know that when we start dropping this, we're like, hey, Petey Williams got this great story. Now I'm putting all the pressure on you right now by asking you this.
Man, a PG story. I wish you're putting me on the spot right now. I wish.
Yeah, that's what I do. That takes all the pressure off me.
Man, I don't know what I want to talk. Like, I guess I do have, my own, wrestling podcast. I do it with a couple of very well-known individuals that you guys know. I got Dennis, and it's called the Wrestling Perspective Podcast. Lars Fredrickson, one of the singers he's from Rancid. Darren McCarty from the Red Wings, Dimitri Young from Cincinnati Reds. The stories, like one thing you never know what's going to happen. Like we got Darren McCarty. He shows up on a wrestling show last night. The dude's like almost 50 years old and he's giving Stone Cold Stunners and stuff. And I'm looking at this. I'm like, oh man, we got him into the wrestling business and now he's doing his own wrestling thing. So, I just want to make sure people also check out, we also promote Impact on, on the Wrestling Perspective as well. And, that could be seen all over the world as well. But I don't have any PG related stories. They're all R-rated, I guess. So,
well, if the fans tune into the Wrestling Perspective, they can
see a lot of R-rated stories.
Very, very cool. one of the things I did on my journalistic integrity included looking up Wikipedia. The High Crusade.
Yep.
One album released.
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't find it on iTunes.
No, it's not going to be on iTunes. It's going to be on Bandcamp. You can see it on YouTube. That's the guitar I was playing right back there. And we have another EP, LP, whatever you want to call it, out there. And yeah, you know, the coolest thing is like when Lars was like, "Hey, I like your music." I was like, "Man, I love Rancid." I'm like, this is all great stuff. So, but yeah, you could check that out too. Me and the Motor City Machine Guns are in that band. We kind of split up because our drummer at the time did all our producing and stuff. He moved across state to work for some little company called like Amazon or something like that. So doing their audiobooks. So unfortunately we had to kind of separate.
All right. My final question, because I want to be very respectful of your time. It's my favorite question to ask somebody, and we already talked about the wrestling perspective, but please, everybody watching this will want to know, hey, how can I follow Petey Williams and Impact Wrestling? Obviously, I want everybody to get the Impact Plus app, but plug away, my friend.
Yeah, you can find me on Twitter and Instagram at @PeteyWilliams. You can find us, on YouTube. Go and subscribe to the Wrestling Perspective. I think our Twitter handle is, I don't know, WPP Pod or something like that. We also have Instagram, all that kind of stuff. And then you can follow all the other people that we have on that podcast too: Dennis, Lars, DMAC, Dimitri. And you can find that anywhere that you would normally listen to podcasts. I think we just had Darby Allin on. There's another, AEW person. And before that, we had Dalton Castle. And so, I mean, we do everybody. It doesn't matter what company you work for. We're just, as well, everybody on the podcast, a pro wrestling fan. We just love talking pro wrestling, just like what we're doing right now.
Fantastic. Well, I'm definitely going to subscribe to that and Impact Plus after. So, Petey Williams, thank you very much for joining us today for Wrestling Travel, and we will see you next time.
Awesome. Thank you.